Hi everybody, welcome to Bad Barry's Bar. As you know, I'm Bad Barry and this is the bar, so take a seat and get ready. See what we've got for you today. First of all, I've been reading about the Everglades, the Florida Everglades, and the problems they're having down there with boa constrictors. Some idiot let a boa constrictor up, presumably a pet, loose, and this thing has bred like fury because the boa constrictors lay up to 100 eggs at a time. Can you imagine this, how quickly it is to overpopulate an area? We've got people down there trying to get rid of these snakes and that, but the snakes are really wiping out a lot of the wildlife, and it's a shame because the Everglades is really a beautiful area. I used to live down there for quite a while. One time I went out on one of the airboats and did a tour around. It was quite interesting, and the Indian guide that was running it, he was saying that the Everglades is actually a slow running river, freshwater river, and the water is really pure, you can drink it. And it was on a hot sunny afternoon. I took 2 big handfuls of water and drank it, had no problems at all. The water is obviously, just as he said, it's quite pure and very drinkable. I guess the plants absorb a lot of the contaminants that are in the water. The water is running very slowly, so I guess plants have a chance to absorb a lot of the contaminants, and the water is really nice and fresh. So the Everglades are great, but I mean, these snakes, boy, they're something else, something you really got to take care of. I may have told you I lived in Singapore and Malaya for many years, and when I was up at the Snake Temple in Penang, the island off the coast of Malaya, they've got the Snake Temple. They had 2 huge pythons there. You may not believe me, but these pythons, I would tell you, were over 20 feet in length, and their bodies were about this round. They were thicker than a wrestler's thighs. They were huge snakes. And if one of those got you, I mean, there's no question in my mind they could swallow a man without any problem at all. They're huge. So, I love snakes. I'm fascinated by them. I handle them. In fact, I had quite a funny experience. I was over in Dublin. I've been working in Ireland. I was a computer guy and put a computer in over there. And towards the end of my stay there, my mother and father-in-law came out from England. And we went to the zoo one evening. My wife didn't feel good, so she didn't come. So it was just my mother and father-in-law and I. So we went to the zoo, and as I said, I like snakes. So I went in the reptile house, and it's sort of semi-dark in there. And I was walking along the line of the cages, and one of the doors was open. There was one of the attendants was in one of these cages, and I went up to it, and it was a snake cage with these boa constrictors. So I'm leaning over his shoulder looking at the snakes. And he said to me, "Aren't you frightened of snakes?" I said, "No." He said, "Would you like to hold these for me?" I said, "Sure." So he gave me 3 big boa constrictors. I mean, I'd say big, maybe 6 feet long. And I put them around my neck. And I said to him, "Would you mind if I went outside and took some film?" Because I had some movie film with me. So he said, "No, sure." So I went outside, you see, and I'm holding the snakes, and my mother-in-law came up and touched them, and people were looking, and we were all having a lot of fun. And suddenly the old Irish keeper came up and he whispered in my ear. He said, "Would you like to have a little bit of fun, sir?" And I said, "What do you got in mind?" He said, "Why don't you just go back in there," he said, "with the snakes," he said, "and stand near a bunch of people." I thought, well, that's a great idea. I'll have a bit of fun with this. So I went back into this darkened reptile house. You see, I've got the old snakes around me, and I stood with a bunch of people. Well, of course, they're standing, and all of a sudden they see a snake's head right in their face. Well, it's like a bomb going off. Wah! Everybody scatters. The old keeper came up. He said, "No, don't frighten the crowd, sir. Don't frighten the crowd." He was a miserable dog who'd put me up to it. It was a good laugh. He and I had a good laugh afterwards over that, but I guess a few people went home and had some nightmares. When I look back on it now, perhaps it wasn't the best thing to do, but I've got to tell you at the time it was really funny. Well, enough about snakes. Now we're going to go to school children. And the teacher's in the class, and she said to little Johnny, "Johnny," she said, "what is 2 plus 2? And Johnny looked down, you see, and he's counting on his fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. He said, 4. She said, "That's right." She said, "But you use your fingers, you don't use your fingers." She said, "What's 3 and 3? Put your hands behind your back." So he put his hands behind his back. You see, he's going 1, 2, and she can see his elbows and that moving. He's counting on his fingers. You see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She said, "That's right." She said, "But I told you don't use your fingers. Now, what's 5 and 5? And put your fingers in your pockets." So he put his fingers in his pockets. You see, and she's watching, and she can see his hands moving in there. She said, "And I can tell you the answer is not 11. Now talking of little boys, one little boy, he wanted to go to the zoo. He was desperate to go to the zoo, and he was on to his mum and dad. I want to go to the zoo. When can we go to the zoo? Why can't we go to the zoo? So eventually the father said, okay, tomorrow afternoon I'll take you to the zoo. So off he went, you see. Well, they came back at tea time. The little boy's radiant. His mum said, how did you get on? He said, oh, it was great. And she said, did your dad enjoy it? He said, oh yes, especially when one came in at 30-1. Right, Christy, have you got a story for us today?
Yeah.
Right, here's Christy again.
So I have a couple jokes here, just some animal themed ones. What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo?
Hippo and zippo.
One's a little heavier and the other one's a little lighter. And another one.
Have you got
here.
something that beats that?
What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef.
I tell you, these jokes get worse and worse. Never mind. Well, thanks for watching us anyway, and just enjoy that ground beef hamburger you have, right? Well, thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you again shortly. Don't forget, press the like button if you liked it, and press the subscribe button, and you'll be one of our subscribers. No charge, but it means we know you like it. And if you've got any comments, we're very happy to hear comments, one way or the other, you know, good or bad. I mean, it just helps us to do the things you like. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again shortly. Stay safe. Bye-bye.